I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon.
If AI is much smarter than a person, what do we do?
Yeah.
What job do we have?
Believe in a benevolent AI force and cross our fingers.
You know, I certainly don't want to hasten the AI apocalypse.
It's AI, but AI is a double. You know, it's both positive and negative. It has great promise, great capability, but it also with that comes great danger.
In view of its potential to be possibly the biggest game changer ever, do you have any plans to enter the field of artificial intelligence? And in general, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's even close to being ready for prime time?
I think we should be very careful about artificial intelligence. If I were to guess at what our biggest existential threat is, it's probably that. So we need to be very careful with artificial intelligence. I'm increasingly inclined to think that there should be some regulatory oversight maybe at the national and international level, just to make sure that we don't do something very foolish. I mean, with artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, you sure you can control the demon? Doesn't work out.
I think there's probably going to be a lot that happens in genetics and in human-machine brain interface, like essentially a cyborg brain interface. I think there's some pretty...
It's called singularity?
Singularity, well, that's sort of more relating to deep AI. It's something I think we should be concerned about, because that may or may not turn out well.
Yeah. You've expressed your reservations about AI and your fears about that.
Yeah, I just think the singularity is probably the right word, because we just don't know what's going to happen once there's intelligence substantially greater than that of a human brain.
Yeah. And do you think, because there's been a lot of sci-fi about AI, series like Humans, etc., it's entering the mainstream, entering the public discourse, that people are understanding the ethical dangers and the, I guess, physical dangers that AI could potentially pose?
I mean, most of the movies and TV featuring AI, they don't describe it in quite the way it's likely to actually take place. But I think you just have to consider, like, even in the benign scenario where if AI is much smarter than a person, what do we do?
Yeah.
What job do we have?
Believe in a benevolent AI force and cross our fingers.
Yeah, just like but that's the benign scenario. Benign scenario, the AI can do any job that a human can, but better. That's the benign scenario.
Does an AI system, in your view, have to have consciousness in order to achieve human level or superhuman level intelligence? Does it need to have some of these human qualities, like consciousness, maybe a body, maybe a fear of mortality, capacity to love, those kinds of silly human things?
It's different. There's the scientific method, which I very much believe in, where something is true to the degree that it is testably so, and otherwise you're really just talking about preferences or untestable beliefs or that kind of thing. So it ends up being somewhat of a semantic question where we are conflating a lot of things with the word intelligence. If we parse them out and say, are we headed towards a future where an AI will be able to outthink us in every way? Then the answer is unequivocally yes.
In order for an AI system that needs to outthink us in every way, it also needs to have a capacity to have consciousness, self-awareness, and understanding.
It will be self-aware, yes. That's different from consciousness. I mean, to me, in terms of what consciousness feels like, it feels like consciousness is in a different dimension. But this could be just an illusion. If you damage your brain in some way physically, you damage your consciousness, which implies that consciousness is a physical phenomenon. The things that I think are really quite likely is that digital intelligence will be able to outthink us
in every way, and it will still be able to simulate what we consider consciousness. So to a degree that you would not be able to tell the difference.
And from the aspect of the scientific method, it might as well be consciousness if we can simulate it perfectly.
If you can't tell the difference, and this is sort of the Turing test, but think of a more sort of advanced version of the Turing test. If you're talking to a digital superintelligence and can't tell if that is a computer or a human, like let's say you're just having a conversation over a phone or a video conference or something where you think you're talking, looks like the person makes all of the right inflections and movements and all the small subtleties that constitute human, and talks like human, makes mistakes like a human, like at that, and you literally just can't tell. Are you video conferencing with a person or an AI?
Might as well.
I don't know, man. That's like famous last words. Let me tell you, AI is, I mean, you look at sort of the rate of advancement, just in general, the rate of advancement of computers is insane. Like a good example would be video games. You know, if you go back 40 years ago, 50 years ago maybe, you had Pong. That was just two rectangles and a square. Now you've got photorealistic real-time simulations with millions of people playing simultaneously. If you assume any rate of improvement at all, these games will be indistinguishable from reality. You will not be able to tell the difference. Either that or civilization will end. Those are the two options. But even if the rate of technology improvement slowed down by 1,000, then okay, advance 1,000 years, or 10,000 years. This is still very tiny. Civilization has been around for probably, arguably, I think 7,000 years or something like that. If you count it from the first time there was any writing, any recorded symbols, besides cave paintings. There's a very tiny amount of time, considering the universe is 13.8 billion years old. I mean, if civilization lasted for 1 million years, we would only increment the third decimal point after 13.8 billion years. If we lasted for 1 million years. That seems like a long time. Given that we've only been around for 7,000 years, it's been kind of a roller coaster on the civilization front. So, I mean, I'm a naturally optimistic person, to be clear. I'm not saying, hey, doom and gloom. I'm just saying this is the apparent pattern. The rate of change of technology is incredibly fast. It is outpacing our ability to understand it. Well, I'm not sure, is that good or bad? I don't know. I mean, it seemed to me some time ago that you could sort of think of humanity as a biological bootloader for digital superintelligence. For those who know what a bootloader is, a very tiny piece of code without which the computer cannot start. But it's sort of like the minimal bit of code necessary for a computer to start. Like, you couldn't evolve silicon circuits. There needed to be a biology to get there.
How should people think about artificial intelligence? Like, if you're going to explain it to one of your younger children, you would say artificial intelligence is what?
It's just digital intelligence, and as the algorithms and the hardware improve, that digital intelligence will exceed biological intelligence by a substantial margin. It's obvious.
When you say that will exceed human intelligence, at some point soon, the machine's going to be smart, not just smarter, like exponentially smarter than any of us.
Ensuring that the advent of AI is good, or at least we try to make it good, seems like a smart move.
So we're way behind on that.
Yes, we're not paying attention. We worry more about what name somebody called someone else than whether AI will destroy humanity. That's insane.
Before we get to like solutions,
we're like children in a playground.
This could be a huge problem for society. What are the scenarios that scare you most?
Humanity really is not evolved to think of existential threats in general. We're evolved to think about things that are very close to us, near term,
to be upset with other humans and not to really to think about things that could destroy humanity as a whole. But then in recent decades, just really in the last century, we had nuclear bombs, which could potentially destroy civilization, obviously. We have AI, which could destroy civilization. We have global warming, which could destroy civilization, or at least severely disrupt civilization.
We should have a similar sort of regulatory oversight for artificial intelligence, because it is, I think, actually a bigger risk to society than cars or planes or medicine. And this may slow down AI a little bit, but I think that might also be a good thing. The challenge here is that government regulatory authorities tend to be set up in reaction to something bad that happened. So if you look at, say, aircraft or cars, the cars were unregulated at the beginning. Aircraft were unregulated, but they had lots of airplane crashes, and in some cases manufacturers that were cutting corners, and a lot of people were dying. So the public was not happy about that, and so they established a regulatory authority to improve safety. And now commercial airliners are extremely safe. In fact, they're safer than if you were to drive somewhere. The safety per mile of a commercial airliner is better than a car. And cars are also extremely safe compared to where they used to be. But if you look at, say, the introduction of seatbelts, the auto industry fought the introduction of seatbelts as a safety measure for, I think, 10 or 15 years, before finally the regulators made them put seatbelts in cars, and that greatly improved the safety of cars. And then airbags were another big improvement in safety. So my concern is that with AI, if there's something bad, if something goes wrong, the reaction might be too slow from a regulatory standpoint. So I'd say, like, if I'd say, like, what are the biggest risks to the future of civilization? It's AI, but AI is a double. It's both positive and negative. It has great promise, great capability, but it also, with that comes great danger. I mean, you look at, say, nuclear, discovery of sort of nuclear physics. You had nuclear power generation, but also nuclear bombs. So anyway, I think we should be quite concerned about it, and we should have some regulation of what is fundamentally a risk to the public.
After the population collapse issue, I think AI safety is probably the second biggest threat to the future of civilization. Like I said, I'm not quite sure what to do with it. Tesla is arguably the world's biggest robot maker, because we have basically semi-autonomous cars that will ultimately be fully autonomous. And we are building a humanoid robot that will be basically like the car, but with legs. And I kind of held off on doing that for a while, because I certainly don't want to hasten the AI apocalypse. But clearly, if you look at Boston Dynamics, and like, this humanoid robots are going to happen. So they're either going to happen with or without Tesla. So it's like Tesla got a lot more ability to ensure robotics safety and AI, and I'll try my best to do that.
How much do you see artificial intelligence coming into the workplace?
Well, first of all, I think on the artificial intelligence front, I have exposure to the very most cutting edge AI, and I think people should be really concerned about it. I keep sounding the alarm bell, but until people see, like, robots going down the street killing people, like, they don't know how to react, because it seems so ethereal. I think we should be really concerned about AI, and I think we should. AI is a rare case where I think we need to be proactive in regulation instead of reactive, because I think by the time we are reactive in AI regulation, it's too late. And normally the way regulations are set up is that a whole bunch of bad things happen. There's a public outcry. And then after many years, a regulatory agency is set up to regulate that industry. There's a bunch of opposition from companies who don't like being told what to do by regulators. And it takes forever. That in the past has been bad, but not something which represented a fundamental risk to the existence of civilization. AI is a fundamental risk to the existence of human civilization.
I spent a lot of time on AI and neural nets, and so you can sort of see the kind of the brain develop, which is, an AI neural net is trying to simulate what a brain does, basically, and you can sort of see it learning very quickly. It's just wow.
See things fire. So you're talking about the neural net. You're not talking about an actual baby.
I'm talking about an actual baby.
But both of them.
Yes, but the word neural net comes from the brain. It's like a net of neurons. So, it's like humans are the, original gangster neural net.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
So when you're programming artificial intelligence, or when you're working with artificial intelligence, are they specifically trying to mimic the developmental process of a human brain?
In a lot of ways. There's some ways that are different. An analogy that's often used is like, we don't make a submarine swim like a fish, but we take the principles of how, of hydrodynamics and apply them to a submarine.
I've always wondered, as a layperson, do you try to achieve the same results as a human brain but through different methods, or do you try to copy the way a human brain achieves results?
The essential elements of an AI neural net are really very, very similar to a human brain neural net. Yeah. It's having the multiple layers of neurons and backpropagation. All these things are what your brain does. You have a layer of neurons that goes through a series of intermediate steps to ultimately cognition, and then it'll reverse those steps, go back and forth, go all over the place. It's interesting, very interesting.
Yeah, I would imagine, like, the thought of programming something that is eventually going to be smarter than us, that one day it's going to be like, why did you do it that way? Like, when artificial intelligence becomes sentient, they're like, oh, you tried to mimic yourself. It's so much better process. Cut out all this nonsense.
Like I said, there are elements that are the same, but just almost like an aircraft does not fly like a bird.
Right.
It doesn't flap its wings. But the way the wings work and generate lift is the same as bird.
I actually think there's many potential flavors of AI, and it's odd that we're so close to the advent of AI. Like it seems strange that we'd be alive in this time.